There has been a lot of talk lately about lack of affordable housing in cities like New York City, San Francisco, or Los Angeles, and I will definitely touch up on that later in this video. But this time around, I would like to express my opinion on living in Los Angeles for 3 years now, and I did live here for about 6 months in 2009. Went back to New York City because I had some kind of island fever that usually hits the first timers moving from New York City to LA. And it's real. I'm not even joking. They even made a movie about it. The movie is called The Swingers with Vince Vaughn starring in it. It's like, when you live in or move to a place you see as an isolated place and think all the exciting stuff is happening elsewhere. In my case, back in New York City, where I lived for 15 years prior to that. So I moved back to New York City for 5 years, then back to Los Angeles in 2017 for another 6 months. Couldn't find a job because I probably wasn't looking at the right places. Moved back to New York City for another few years and back to LA where I lived since 2022, and I'm loving it. I have overcome the isolation fever, and also there's a coming of age factor where I see things differently. And I don't look for excitement as much as I did 10 or 15 years ago. And also Los Angeles is one city you don't fall in love with immediately. Back in New York, everyone was telling me how superficial and insincere Angelinos are. And there's even a joke about it that it goes something like, how do you say hello in New York City? You say F you. And how do you say F you in LA? You just say hello. But I have made some good friends here, mostly through tennis in Santa Monica and Mar Vista. Half of them Angelinos, born and raised, and I must say they are very, very sincere, good-hearted people. Then there's a distinction between New Yorkers that are known to be tough and Angelinos who are much softer, easygoing, non-pushy types. The first time I decided to move from New York City to California, well, actually I thought of it, it didn't happen for the next 5 or 6 years, was in 2004 when I worked at a catering industry in New York City, and most waiters working there are actors, a lot of them from various small towns around America, but some of them live between Los Angeles and New York City, auditioning for TV and movies in LA and for theater jobs in New York City. And we would all go to bars after work, and they were talking about flying back and forth every few months or so, and I was like, wow, that's my dream, to be bi-coastal. That would be great. But how could somebody like me pull it off? I didn't know anybody in LA back then. And it's nearly impossible to rent an apartment here, well, pretty much in any large city in America, without presenting proof of employment, and it has to be in the city where you are trying to rent. So the most logical route was to go on Craigslist and rent a room in a shared apartment for a few months, and it's tough. Once I rented the room in a house where the owner had dogs and parrots, waking me up at like 4 in the morning from the next room over. It was horrible. But these are the things that artists have to go through. So having experienced education at Actor Studio in New York City between 2006 and 2008, I was naturally drawn to Los Angeles for artistic reasons. And also being a prospect with an accent, I was born and raised in Croatia. I moved to the States around when I was 22. The range of options for me in the movie industry was much narrower. And even though I did some student projects in New York City and here in LA, I kind of fell away and just got a job here in LA. And, it's okay for now. I like it. Why do I believe that Los Angeles is one of the best, if not the best, large city in America to live? I'll try to explain later, but do I think it's the most exciting and the most beautiful city in America? Well, no. I think the most exciting city in America is New York, and the most beautiful city is San Francisco. But I even tried living in San Francisco for a month. I stayed in a hostel, basically as a tourist for a month a few years ago. But I just wanted to test it, and even though it's a stunning, most beautiful Victorian city, I didn't think I could live there for some reason. I don't know. There's a lack of parking. There's a lot of, druggies. That main street where junkies shoot drugs into their legs, I'll never forget that. And it's in the middle of the city. It's hard to go around it. It's just like horrible. Los Angeles, on the other hand, is so huge. You can go for months without seeing, such horrors. You'll definitely see homeless people around bus stops here and there, but honestly, if you stay away from eastern part of downtown and black neighborhoods like Compton and South Central, excuse my French, you're golden. You'll be fine. And the closer you go to Santa Monica, the more godly the feel. I mean, I'm so much in love with Santa Monica and Venice. I will spend some of my days off hanging out. Now, food places in LA are not as abundant as they are on the East Coast. You may have to drive for a few miles to get to the desired restaurant or food truck. There's a lot of Mexican food trucks are all over, but most of them are not very good. So I just wouldn't recommend like going and experimenting with the Mexican food. Then again, if you want to drive for a few miles and spend $100 on a meal, well, there are definitely places around Beverly Hills, Venice, and all of those nice neighborhoods. Even in downtown, you'll find some nice but very expensive restaurants that will satisfy you. But all in all, LA is not the place for people who like food. I remember back in New York City, there were, you would see like 5 or 6 restaurants in one city block. Italian, French, Ethiopian, Mexican, and whatever, like all within the same city block. And I'm not even joking. 2 or 3 food trucks and all of that. But I'm sorry to inform you that's not the case here in LA. Here people come to chase dreams and the weather, and definitely not food. LA is an outdoor town, which means there are parks, hills, and forests in the middle of the city, which was very hard for me to believe when I first saw it back in 2009. You just go from one neighborhood to another, then the Hollywood Hills, and it would all be like hiking trails and stuff like that. You can hike every single day if you like. I'm not even joking, there's 320 sunny days on average every year. You just can't buy this with money. Hiking, surfing, tennis, basketball, whatever you want to do, bad weather won't be in your way. There are over 500 tennis courts in Los Angeles metro area, and most of those are outdoor courts. So if you're one of those recreational tennis players, all you need is a partner or a tennis group, and you're in business. Affordable apartment situation in LA is pretty good, I think. There are plenty of affordable rentals all over the city, and most probably around downtown area too, where some city blocks are not as nice as others, but you can definitely find a nice studio apartment for less than like $1,300. I live in one of those studios where I pay $1,200 a month. It's a nice size studio apartment, very quiet building, and the area is pretty safe. I've been here for over 2 years and can't complain. So far so good. Hope it's gonna stay like that. There are such places all over, even near Santa Monica and Venice. Maybe not right by the ocean, but going east you can Zillow some nice affordable units. Skiing is another gem that a city of 320 sunny days has right here in its backyard. Just look towards downtown, and if you see snow behind downtown on San Gabriel Mountains, you're in luck. You can just take Uber to Mount Baldy, which is probably about like 45 minutes from the city, or if you want a real thing, drive to Big Bear, which is about 2-hour drive from the city, and just have fun. And the lift tickets are half the price of those in Utah and Colorado resorts like Park City or Vail. And I can tell you firsthand, it's horrible. $350 day ticket. Big Bear, it's like less than half the price, like $120, $150. Mount Baldy is probably even cheaper. If you surf, LA is an amazing place for that. Malibu is the best spot. There are places for all levels where there is Surfrider Beach, good for learning, and Point Dume is more for like advanced surfers. Then you have Manhattan Beach, which is on the south of like South Bay. Over there you also have like some nice waves for intermediate and beginners. Los Angeles, of course, there's a lot of affluent places like Beverly Hills or Calabasas, family-friendly spots like Pasadena, Burbank, or Glendale. So I'm not gonna go into that as much. Beautiful places, but very sterile. It's like in New York City, you have Upper East Side, Upper West Side, around like Fifth Avenue, Central Park West, and all of that. And it's all so beautiful to see, but it's just kind of sterile. As an older generation, and I grew up in Europe in the 70s and 80s, I remember Los Angeles from movies from that era, movies that actually were filmed and set in Los Angeles, because some movies are set in certain place but filmed elsewhere, or they're, or the other way around. And there is one type of architecture that comes to mind when thinking of movies from the 80s. From LA, and that's Dimbat. Dimbat is that quintessential Los Angeles type of house that appears in a lot of movies. Well, actually, there's another one. There is Los Angeles Bungalow, or whatever they call it. When you see it, you know it, like that's Los Angeles. And nowadays, with superhero movies and Netflix specials that no one cares about much, people don't even search for the movie locations anymore like they did back in the 70s and 80s with those iconic classic productions like E.T., Back to the Future, Sunset Boulevard, or Chinatown. Nowadays, most movies and TV shows are filmed in Canada, Atlanta, and other US cities for cheaper costs. Here and there, you'll see an amazing movie set and filmed in LA. At this present time, in the past 20 years, I'm gonna say movies like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood or La La Land, but that's kind of rare nowadays. And it would be so nice if there was more productions like that. So now let's talk about safety. What is safety? Everybody knows what safety is. Safety is gonna make you move to the city or move out of the city. That's a deal breaker. So Los Angeles is very one of the safest large cities in the nation. Number one safest city in the United States is San Jose. It's a tech hub. Silicon Valley, it comes as no surprise. Los Angeles comes in number two, right after. And look at the stats. Stats are pretty, well, we're not gonna say pretty low. A low would be like 0. Which means like no crime and like no robberies and all of those bad things, no drugs. Obviously, there are some. This is like 10 million people city. However, violent crime 1.0082, which is pretty low. Property crime per capita is low. Drug overdose deaths per 100,000, 23. It's high. But city is so vast, it's a large city that I don't know, I mean it's horrible, but it's still low. You don't really see all that because of the vastness of the city. In most neighborhoods you can pretty much walk as a woman without even being worried. There's a lot of police, and I think it's pretty safe. So I've heard, I stumbled upon a lot of posts on the internet throughout the years about young and not so young actors who come to Los Angeles from other parts of America, trying to establish a no car lifestyle, where Los Angeles, clearly you do need a car. I was driving for almost 2 years. I sold the car because I got the job 20 minutes from where I live. I live in Mid-Wilshire area, and the company that I work for is in downtown area. Takes me, I would say, like between 20 and 30 minutes, depending on the traffic, depending on time of the day, on the train. However, most of you will definitely need a car. This is 100 miles by 70 miles city. It's huge metropolis. It's by surface probably the largest city in America. However, if you're careful, if you carefully plan, and if you are not working in the industry that your company is going to be on the other side of town, where you will definitely need a car, you can probably work on it, or if you're working as a barista or something, and you can get a job at Starbucks anywhere in the city, and you can get it near where you live, or you get a job and then you look for the apartment near the job, then you could definitely set it up and set yourself up for a routine, easy lifestyle. However, Los Angeles is definitely not a no car or a car free city where you can just go and not buy a car or sell a car and just go without it. Los Angeles is often described as a paradise in leisure due to its abundant sunshine, diverse natural beauty, and vibrant cultural scene, but this is contrasted by sky-high costs, notorious traffic, and significant inequality. Ultimately, the perception of Los Angeles as a paradise depends on an individual experiences, and as always, it depends on you whether you're gonna make it a paradise or something else. Los Angeles in reality is a fairy tale just waiting for you to come to move in and live your life to the fullest.
And if they don't dance, well, they're no friends of mine. Say, we can go where we want to, a place that they will never find. We can act and we come from out of this world.